So Radhika, we can start.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Prabhupadanugami Shri Subhaga Swami Sada Dainyashili Subhagaya Sarva Jiva Kripabdaye Guru Shiksha Sadachara Palakaya Namostute Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the first time I'm doing a Zoom class like this for adults. I'm very unqualified, both materially and spiritually, but I was requested and encouraged and a little pressured by our temple authority. So in the mood of service, I come here and we can together speak a little bit about Krishna. So before I start, I would like to offer my respects to my Guru Maharaj, Srila Subhag Swami, and of course Srila Prabhupada from throughout, none of us would know Krishna as he is, or be where we are at this moment. So even though I have so many discrepancies with their grace and mercy, even a lame person can climb mountains and a dumb person can speak eloquently. So I pray to their mercy, for their mercy, that I may speak. On the order of Sri Subhag Swami, he's ordered me to, instructed me that whatever I speak should be just a repeat of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra of Prabhupada. So I'm not going to say anything new today. It's just going to be a repeat, exactly what they are saying. I would like to also offer my obeisances unto my first Guru, Parvati Devi Dasi, my mother. Our mothers are always our first Guru, who put me on the boat of Krishna consciousness, with who I'm fully grateful. And of course, all the Vaishnavas present here and not present, for all their blessings to help me on I think it got disconnected. It started again. So, and also thank you so much, Mother Nagapatni, another very senior disciple of Prabhupada, along with others, Mataji. And so, blessed to have their presence here today. Thank you so much for your support. Asking questions to answer. So let's make this an interactive class. Can you hear me? Let's make this interactive. And I'd like to discuss together. You're using it. So why did Srila Prabhupada want us to come back to Godhead? Because the spiritual realm is our home. He wanted us to take it back home. Money or put food on our tables, or hard to get clothes to wear. Our spiritual father has everything, and he wants us to be happy. So Srila Prabhupada just came to this material world just to take us home back to God, to take us to our home. Another important thing that Srila Prabhupada wrote on Bhagavad Back to Godhead, which is really, is that Krishna is darkness. So Prabhupada that, but we have just simple, in all yoga systems, we have the yama, do's and don't do's. But Krishna Prabhupada just gives a simple formula, just add Krishna and the darkness will automatically go. You don't have to worry about the darkness to go. Please, darkness go, pray for the darkness go, or do various activities for the darkness to leave. All you have to do is bring the light, turn on the switch, so add Krishna to our life, and automatically the darkness leaves. So how did Prabhupada plan to take us back to Godhead, which is a very important point? That's also very simple. Can anybody tell me how Srila Prabhupada planned to take us back to Godhead? If anybody is able to speak. I don't know, are you able to unmute yourself? So Srila Prabhupada helped us and planned International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So making our consciousness full of Krishna. So a devotee named it the International Society for God Consciousness. Include everybody. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, Krishna has a name. We want to name Krishna consciousness because we are personalists. So therefore, Prabhupada was very adamant that we keep this as Krishna conscious movement. Now, another point is to make. Why do we want to call Krishna by his name? Why can't we just call him God? It's because we want to call him Krishna. He's a more personal name, and we want to develop a relationship with him. So that relationship, it also creates that love between us and God. For example, we have our president, temple president here right now in our group, Shraddha Prabhu. So if someone comes to him and calls him as president, President, Mr. President, I have this problem or this situation is occurs. So he comes to us in the form of the president. And that bhav is there, that relationship. So already that seniority and that awe and reverence is established. But if his child would come to him, say, okay, Baba, or dad, whatever, I think they call him dad. Automatically that love comes, and he his child. So that love automatically comes. So to create that, establish that relationship between us and God, not just as an impersonal person very far away, but he wanted to actually establish that relationship and create that love in our hearts for him. So how can we develop Krishna consciousness for a relationship? And that's, of course, by association. We can't just say, okay, we love God, but we don't even know who he is. So if we want to develop Krishna consciousness or be conscious of Krishna, we have to we have to him. We can't hear him. How can we have association with him? So if you want to know someone, you have to associate with them. So Srila Prabhupada very expertly explains that Krishna is present in his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Stated, Saparyagachuk Kramakayam Avrinam Asna Viram Shuddhama Papa Vidham Kabir Manishi Paribhu Swayambhu Yatha Yatorthan Vyadadascha Shvatibhyah Samabhyah. So one of the important qualities of Krishna and his name is Shukra. So he's omnipotent. So his name, form, qualities, and pastimes is non-different. So wonderfully gave us the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as soon as we chant the holy name, we're there with Krishna. And when we speak about his pastimes, we're there with Krishna. And therefore Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, he had that urgency that even though he just translated Bhagavad Gita was only book at that time, and maybe Nectar of Devotion, and there was a little Bhagavatam, but he didn't even come to the 10th canto yet. Already, Srila about Krishna and absorb our minds about Krishna. Because as soon as we hear about Krishna, then again, remember, all our sufferings and miseries disappear. Being with Krishna makes you happy. It's relishable. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindam Sarvakarana Karanam. So it's explained in Brahma Samhita that Krishna is Satchidananda. He's full of bliss. He's eternal and full of knowledge and the truth. And so association is so important. When you're associating with someone who's happy, it's contagious. So Krishna is always blissful. Krishna is always happy. So as soon as you associate with Krishna, whether it's with his form or name or qualities, and form we can take advantage of the Archavigra form also, then automatically we become happy because we are there with Krishna. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 54, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. When you come to the Brahma Bhuta platform, or the platform of as to become a pure devotee, automatically you're prasanna atma, full of bliss. So Srila Prabhupada came and first brought his 22 and brought him to the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. At that time, Krishna Balaram temple was not made, and it was actually on the outskirts. The main part of Vrindavan was there in Boy Bazaar in Radha Damodar temple. And the devotees stayed up on the first floor. That was the guest house at that time. And Prabhupada read the Nectar of Devotion, and it was a truly nectarian time, and got shelter of Radha Damodar. So Srila Prabhupada actually started this whole movement in the Radha Damodar temple at Rupa Goswami Samadhi. So Radha Damodar has a very important place in our hearts and our history, and very important time in our history of ISKCON. So today, today we're in Kartik, month of Kartik, and the month of Damodar. So I thought we could maybe discuss a little bit about Damodar Leela, and we can go through the Damodar Ashtakam. So I'll be reading the translation, and after reading, and with a little bit of quotes from Srila Prabhupada, we can sing together each of the shlokas. Together, translation and a little bit of Prabhupada's commentary, and then eyes together and read each verse.
Radhika, excuse me, Radhika, can you turn your camera because your camera is sideways?
I know I'm having a problem. Is it this better?
Say, let me see. Because
I'm not
the
very
video is otherwise going to
technologically.
be, the video is going to be on the 90 degrees, you know.
Okay, is it like this? Is this okay?
Let me see what. Yeah, this is better. This is better. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go together and dive into the pastimes of Damodar. I'm going to read the translation and explain a little bit, and then we're going to close our eyes and read the Sanskrit verse together. We all know the verse, we sing the verse every day. So we will start. To the Supreme Controller, who possesses in eternal form of blissful knowledge. So when I'm reading, let's all meditate on the words of this Damodarashtakam, which is spoken by Satyavrata Muni in the glories of Damodar. Damodar Ashtakam. Ashtakam means 8 verses of Lord Damodar. The name Dama means rope, and Udara means stomach or belly, abdomen. So the belly, the form of the Lord, which was tied with ropes, his belly was tied with ropes. So to that Supreme Controller who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro. So as you all know, children, they're not going to sit still. They can't sit still. So his earrings, they're swinging to and fro because he's constantly moving. So we can imagine that beautiful form of baby Krishna moving, jumping, running, crawling, and who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of the storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada explains that this Leela, this Damodar Leela happened on Diwali day. So you can see today all over the world, especially in India, Diwali is celebrated very grand. And if you go to Vrindavan, especially if you go to Radha Damodar temple, they specially make this makhan mishri for the Lord. And the makhan is the butter, freshly churned butter from yogurt. Now the butter that we usually get in the stores here is usually made from the cream, but Ayurvedically and traditionally, the butter is actually made from yogurt. And when you make ghee from this butter, it actually aids in digestion. Nowadays, people are really afraid of fat and everything, so they try to avoid, but these are actually healthy fats. And also, interestingly enough, this Leela happened in Sharad Ritu, or the month of autumn. And according to Ayurveda even, this month is the time for Pitta Kala, or when there's an increase of Pitta dosha in the body, or heat. And butter, according to Ayurveda, and Mishri, the sugar candy, these are all cooling to the system. So they cool our system. And therefore, it's tradition in Vrindavan during this time, and of course, in remembrance of Damodar Leela, to offer that Makhan Mishri. And still to this day, if you come to Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan during the month of Kartik, you can offer little donas of Makhan Mishri to Radha Damodar. So another important point that Srila Prabhupada made, and this is again, all these stories and all these simple verses help us how we can increase our Krishna consciousness, how we can remember Krishna more. And Srila Prabhupada beautifully explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna book how when Mother Yashoda have time to get up for Mangalarti, chant the 16 rounds, doing all the things. And of course we do that because we are still in the material stage. But Srila Prabhupada explains how we can always 24 hours think of Krishna. So Mother Yashoda, she was always busy in her household duties, making butter, cooking, all the type of things that she needed to do, taking care of the cows. So while she was churning butter, she would sing of the pastimes of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada beautifully explains how we can think of Krishna in this way. And these actually, if you want to remember anything, you can make a song about it. You can make poetry about it, and that helps us to remember. So Mother Yashoda, while she was doing all of her household duties, she would remember Krishna by singing about his different pastimes. And Srila Prabhupada said that we can do the same and thereby remember Krishna 24 hours a day. So let's fold our hands together and close our eyes, and we can sing the verse and meditate about this beautiful description, which we just talked about in the first verse. Namamishwaram Satchit Anantarupam Lasat Punda Lan Gokule Bhajamanam Yashodabhiyolukala Dhabhamanam Paramrishtham Atyantato Dhruta Gopya. So in the second verse, Satyavata Muni says, so again, let's meditate on this second verse before we sing it together. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his hands again and again with his two lotus hands. So in the first verse, we're saying he's a supreme controller. But in the second verse, we see he's afraid, he's crying. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. So he was so scared, so afraid of his mother that his necklace was shaking. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. So that Damodar who is the Lord of everything, who everybody else is afraid. That same Lord Damodar is afraid of his mother. He's so afraid that he's shaking, and the devotee is praying that I offer my obeisances to this Damodar who is afraid of his mother. So Srila Prabhupada explains so beautifully in his purport in Canto 10, Chapter 9, text 9, in his purport, he explains, yogis, mystics want to catch Krishna as Paramatma, and with great austerities and penances, they try to approach him, yet they cannot. Here we see, however, that Krishna is going to be caught by Yashoda and running away in fear. This illustrates the difference between the bhakta and the yogis. The yogis cannot reach Krishna, but for pure devotees like Mother Yashoda, Krishna is already caught. Krishna was even afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick. This was mentioned by Queen Kunti in her prayers. Bhaya bhava Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 31. Krishna is afraid of Mother Yashoda, and yogis are afraid of Krishna. Yogis try to reach Krishna by jnana yoga and other yogas, but they fail. Yet, although Mother Yashoda was a woman, Krishna was afraid of her, as described in this verse. So she is a very powerful woman that the Lord, who everyone is afraid of Mother Yashoda. Another Srila Prabhupada again explains in text 12 in the purport that Mother Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna not in order to chastise him. So, a lot of mothers and a lot of parents, we want to chastise our kids because they've been doing something wrong. But Mother Yashoda had so much love for Krishna. She didn't want to bind him because she wanted to chastise him. It's a very important point. But she bound him because she thought that the child was restless and that he might leave the house in fear. That Therefore, because of full affection house, Mother wanted to impress upon Krishna that since stick, he should not perform such disturbing activities as breaking the container of yogurt and butter and distributing its contents to the monkeys. Mother Yashoda did not care to understand who Krishna was and how his power spreads everywhere. This is an example of pure love for Krishna. So sometimes as materialistic human beings, someone because they have something, they have some power or they have some wealth or they're beautiful or they have some type of opulence. But pure love is when you love without those other conditions. And the gopis and Mother Yashoda definitely had that love. Whether Krishna was God, they still loved him, or if Krishna was not God, then they would still love him the same. So the rope that he was tied Krishna, or Krishna stay with us, is with our bhakti and our love. So the second verse we'll read together. Rudantam muhurnetram yukmamrejantam karamboja yugmena satam kanetram muhushvasakam patri rekam agrevam damodar bhakti bardam. So in the verse number 3, the devotee says, those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy. So it is not just a little bit of happiness, they were drowned in pools of ecstasy, completely floating. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana in Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion to the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. So Vaikuntha simply means Vai and Kuntha. These are two words. Kuntha is miseries and worries, and Vai means without. So Vaikuntha is a place without any miseries, without any worries, and that's the abode of Krishna. But the devotee, he's not concerned of having not worries. In fact, Mother Kunti, she prays for more worries. Please, if those worries and the distress is going to bring Krishna to me, then please bring on more worries and more distress, because being with Krishna is the ultimate happiness, and remembering about Krishna is the ultimate happiness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his songs, Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite par, tomara shakati ache. So he beautifully explains how the devotees have the Lord. Even though the yogis and everyone is trying to get the Lord through so many austerities, the Lord is with his devotees. So the devotees are able to give the Lord. So only by the mercy of the pure devotees are we able to get the Lord in our presence. Another important description that Srila Prabhupada says, which we already explained. Okay, so the third verse we'll sing together. Again, meditating on what we just talked about in this verse. Iti driksvali labhi ananda ko swaghosham nema jantama kyapayantam tadiyeshitagneshu bhaktarjitatvam puna prematastam sata vritti vande. Now in the next verse, the devotee says, O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray for your liberation, for eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may be ever enacted in my heart. So this is the desire of a pure devotee. We pray to Krishna to take us, we pray to Krishna to take us out of our miseries. But pure devotees like Kunti Devi and Satyavrata Muni and people who are on the Uttama Adhikari level, they pray just to serve Krishna or just to remember Krishna and always be able to associate with him and his devotees. They don't even pray to get out of their miseries. So that's a very important point. And it's a very high stage, it's not easy. And that's the stage of Krishna consciousness. When we pray to get out of our misery or we want liberation, it becomes about us. And that's our false ego, our misidentification. We want to be happy. We want to be out of miseries. We want to go to Krishna because we can be away from our suffering. And it's all about me, me, me. So when we come out of centeredness and when we desire to always lip service saying we don't want anything, really do not desire anything but shelter of Shri Krishna and to always remember him. That's eternal bliss. Then we are at a very point that we have to understand. So we can again say together and meditate on that. Varam deva moksham na moksha badimba nachamya vrene hambare shami idam deva purna So that's the ultimate happiness, having the vision of Gopal hearts. And as we go into the 5th verse, it says, and again, this is again a beautiful meditation, which you can meditation on the form of the Lord, the aspects. And again, when you associate the form of the Lord, you are associating with Krishna. So let's again imprint this in our hearts and imprint this in our minds. Oh Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled with hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. So Krishna's cheeks are naturally very pink, and it's a beautiful description. So they're saying that cheeks are actually pink because Mother Yashoda keeps on kissing them. She kisses them all the time. She's so much in love with Krishna that she's always kissing him and kissing his cheeks. So she kisses him so much that they become pink. And not pink, they become so red like the bimba fruit. Bimba, what we learned in Sanskrit is the vegetable is tindri, or in Bengali they call it tinduri. Vegetable out of it, but when it becomes ripe, it becomes a bright red color. Describing this, what more beautiful than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. So if we always can have this beautiful vision, we don't need anything else. Idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nilai vritam kuntalai snedharaktaishobhya mohostumbitam bimba rakta darame. Manasa Virasa Manam Lakshalabhai. In the sixth, O unlimited Vishnu, please on. I'm drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and I'm almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. So in the previous verses, in verse 3, it's explained that the devotees of the Lord are drowning in pools of ecstasy, Paramananda. And in the sixth verse, the devotee is crying to Lord Krishna that I'm drowning in the ocean of sorrow. So he's showing the difference of the spiritual platform and the material platform. Where they're both drowning, But in the spiritual world, the devotee is drowning in pools of ecstasy. And in the material world, we are drowning in an ocean of sorrow. Even so-called happiness is not permanent, and it's not real happiness, it's artificial. And it's not the true happiness that we can experience. So he's praying to Krishna to uplift me and protect me with, not protect me and take me away with sorrows, protect me with your vision. All he wants is to have a vision of Lord Krishna. So he's not praying to pick me or put me in palace or Vaikuntha or the Lord. The devotee just prays for his vision. We see this in many different verses of different devotees. For example, in Jagannath Ashtakam, the devotee prays, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathadami Bhavatu me. Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, the object of my vision. The devotee always prays to. They don't want anything. The devotees just want the vision of the Lord. They don't pray, to have a comfortable life. They don't pray for money, wealth, even liberation. They simply want, their heart is very simple, and they just want the vision of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 6, it's stated, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajjatante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhavitah. So whatever state of being you remember, that state you attain. So everything is there with Krishna. So if you remember Krishna and he's there in your vision always, then you attain Krishna. And if you have some other desires, then you will attain that desire. So this is very scientific. Of course, it comes naturally in the simple heart of a devotee to just simply want the vision of Krishna and nothing else. All these other things don't matter to him. But scientifically also, if we have that vision constantly in our hearts, then the true test at the time of death, we will still continue to have that vision and we'll be able to go to Krishna. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalapti Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishtasthi Dinam Vatano Grihanisha Mama Gyame Dakshidresha. So in the 7th verse, it says, O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nala Kuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them a chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. So this story is very important. This is another story. And as you all know, when Narada Muni was going around in the heavens, 2 sons of Kuvera is the god of wealth. He keeps all the wealth of all the demigods. And his sons, they're naturally, because the father is wealthy, then the children are very wealthy. And they were fully enjoying to full extent their wealth. And they were sense enjoyers, complete sense enjoyers. And of course, that comes with a little pride of their status and their wealth and their birth and their beauty. So they were enjoying so nicely in the river with beautiful ladies, and they were naked and drunk. So when Narada Muni came, they were so blinded with that, with their drunkenness and also their pride, that they did not even respect him. Not even respect. What the speed of respect? They didn't even put their clothes on. The women naturally, because of their shyness and embarrassment, and of course respect, they immediately went to put their clothes on. But these two sons of Kuvera, they didn't. They were shameless, and they didn't respect Narada Muni. They didn't put their clothes on. So Narada Muni cursed them that, okay, you want to be naked? Fine, you will get your desire. You become trees. Trees don't wear clothes. You can be naked all the time. You don't have to worry about putting clothes, and you can be naked for hundreds of years, according to the demigods' years. So that's thousands and thousands of years in our years. At that time, when you're punished, then sometimes you realize, oh, I made a mistake, because no one wants to suffer. So they begged Narada Muni, please, we're very sorry. And of course, Narada Muni is a great devotee. The devotee's curse and the blessings are the same. It's their intention is not because of their own pride or anger. The intention is to teach the living entities. And so he said, okay, I cannot take my curse back, but you will be trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So you will get the darshan of Krishna. So they went and they took that birth. And of course, we all know the story. Krishna was bound and he was trying to, move around with his wood and mortar. And he went between the two trees.